Good morning, Jamaica. Wagwan. It has been a long time. I have missed you. I hope you've missed me. It's good to be back after a 7-month hiatus. Happy New Year. I hope this new year finds you all well. We have a special program for you all today, all things related with American Citizen Services here at U.S. Embassy Kingston. I have with me a very special guest who has over 14 years of experience in the Foreign Service, Bill, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. Bill.
Good morning, Jamaica. My name is Bill Torrance. I'm the head of the American Citizen Services Unit here at the Embassy. As Mario mentioned, I've been in the State Department for about 14 years, and this is my 6th overseas assignment. I started my career in Monterrey, Mexico, followed that up with Bogota, Colombia, Podgorica, Montenegro, Lahore, Pakistan, and most recently I was in Brasilia, Brazil. And I'm just thrilled to be here in Jamaica with my wife and my son, and we've been here for about 1.5 years now.
Wow, thanks, Bill. With all of that experience, we will be privileged for Bill to share with us some best practices while in Jamaica. I do want to encourage you all to follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter and Facebook at U.S. Embassy JA. That is U.S. Embassy JA. Also note, for any IV-related questions, we do ask that you hold those questions via email. You can send us an email at kingstoniv@state.gov. With all non-immigrant visa services related questions, you can email us at kingstoniv@state.gov. And obviously for American Citizen Services, you can email us at kingstonacs@state.gov. And lastly, for fraud-related inquiries or DNA inquiries, you can email us at kingstonfpu@state.gov. We will have these email distros on your screen shortly. Again, welcome. Happy New Year. It is great to be here. I'm going to allow Bill to give us an overview of American Citizen Services here in Kingston and some of the issues that are directly impacting American citizens here on the island. Bill?
So my office has 2 major functions here in the embassy. The first thing that we do is take care of American citizens' routine documentary needs. American citizens that are visiting or residing here in Jamaica frequently need to renew their passport, register the birth of a child born to an American citizen, or get a document notarized for use back in the United States, like selling property or taking care of wills and estates. We can help American citizens take care of those basic items by making an appointment with my office at that kingstonacs@state.gov email. The other major thing we do is we help take care of Americans when they're in a time of crisis. So anything from hospitalization for illness or injury, American citizens that have run into financial distress, trouble with the legal system here, or in the unfortunate circumstances that American citizens pass away in Jamaica or in the Cayman Islands, will assist their families in making the proper arrangements and preparations. One of the major things that we try to do is make sure American citizens are aware of the travel conditions wherever they plan to travel around the world. The embassy in Kingston, like embassies all around the world, prepares information at travel.state.gov to inform Americans before they travel overseas about what the conditions are and what things to be aware of and maybe to reconsider before they travel. Here in Jamaica, the travel advisory is a level 3, which we call reconsider travel. The Jamaica rating is a level 3 because of the crime situation on the island. Violent crimes such as home invasions, armed robberies, sexual assaults, and homicides are common. Sexual assaults occur frequently, including at all-inclusive resorts. And the local police responsiveness has been sometimes insufficient to address serious criminal incidents. Emergency services vary throughout the island, and response times may vary from U.S. standards. The homicide rate reported by the government of Jamaica has for several years been among the highest in all of the Western Hemisphere. U.S. government personnel, such as myself and Mario, are prohibited from traveling to several areas of the island, from using public buses, and from driving outside of prescribed areas of Kingston at night. One thing that we're particularly worried about right now is traffic. There have been several recent vehicle accidents resulting in death and serious injuries to American citizens. So we encourage all of our American citizens to be careful while traveling within Jamaica, including traveling in your own vehicle, in taxis, vans, or other transportation. Please be sure your driver follows the rules of the road and practices good driving, and avoid traveling in route taxis or other public transportation. One important thing that we try to ask Americans all around the world, when they do plan to travel, please register your trip with the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. You can find the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program and all that information about international travel to Jamaica or any other destination around the world at travel.state.gov. I'd like to take a couple more moments of your time just to give you some updates from the other units of the embassy. And then we can open things up for questioning, if that's okay for Mario.
Sounds great.
Okay. So the non-immigrant visa unit has recently resumed the intake of interview waiver renewal cases. So for people that have a valid or recently expired visa, they can find out if they're qualified on our website and sign up for such processing. And they'll be notified by email with further instructions on how to proceed. Also, we want to make a reminder that visa holders that have previously been issued a visa are not guaranteed to be reissued a visa. Visa applicants should be reminded that visa fees must be paid through the Consular Electronic Application Center using ceac.state.gov. You cannot pay a visa fee at pay.gov. Pay.gov is only for American citizens wishing to renew their passports. If you try to pay a visa fee at pay.gov, it will take 6 to 8 weeks minimum to get a refund. And there's better ways that you could use that money in the meantime. Finally, from the Immigrant Visa Unit, the Immigrant Visa Unit is continuing with a full workload, focusing on cases for spouses and children of American citizens and legal permanent residents. Additionally, we're trying to process fiancé visas as quickly as we can. And with that, I think we can open things up for questions.
Yeah, great. Yes. Bill, thanks for that introduction. You mentioned crime in Jamaica and the travel advisory at level 3. It sounds a bit ominous. Am I safe, or is a pending citizen safe to travel to Jamaica?
Millions of American citizens and other foreign travelers come to Jamaica every year and have a fantastic time. I like to say that most Americans and most travelers leave with nothing worse than a sunburn. So it's difficult to talk about safety and security. What I can say is, compared to many places around the world, Jamaica does have a crime problem that rises to such a level that we are concerned, and we want Americans to reconsider travel here because of that high level of crime. So do your research, check out travel.state.gov and look at the full descriptions we have there of the conditions and many of the frequent problems that Americans run into before deciding to travel here or anywhere else around the world.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, we also have a question from Cruz Stone regarding when will their family-based visa appointment be available for an interview. Cruz Stone, thank you for your question. Currently, immigrant visas are currently being scheduled in an order of preference. We're still coming out of a backlog since the pandemic. We do ask you to email us at kingsoniv@state.gov. And do know, as Bill mentioned, we are working as hard as possible to get through this backlog. Bill, again, with regards to American citizens here on the island, can you tell us, how was your experience at times having to identify an American and the importance of registering in the STEP program prior to travel to Jamaica?
So many times when American citizens run into trouble in Jamaica, they are traveling with friends or relatives who can let us know if something bad has happened, what that situation is with that American citizen. But there are other times where an American citizen might be traveling by themselves or might be separated from their group. And when family or friends call the embassy or the State Department back in Washington, asking for assistance in finding their loved one and making sure they're okay, we don't have any contact information to go with, or at least no current contact information, unless that American citizen has registered through the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. The Smart Traveler Enrollment Program helps Americans provide the State Department with as much or as little contact information as that traveler is comfortable with, that would help us in case of an emergency to get information to them or to locate them and help them reassure their friends and family back home that they're safe and sound. Sometimes it's an emergency with the American citizen, and sometimes it's an unexpected crisis or emergency that happens within the country. So when natural disasters or civil unrest strikes anywhere around the world, we communicate with our American citizens through that Smart Traveler Enrollment Program to tell them where they can find assistance, how they can communicate with the embassy if they need anything from us, or how they can find local resources from the host nation government. So many important reasons to register your trip, whether or not you're traveling here to Jamaica or anywhere else around the world.
Thank you for that, Bill. Bill, we also have a question from Karen Harvey. She wants to know, given that her visa was denied 5 times, will she be eligible to reapply? Yes, Karen, you can reapply for your immigrant visa. The consular officer at your interview should have provided you some documentation or commentary on why your visa was denied. Please adhere to those instructions, and as long as you meet the requirements, you can always reapply for a visa. For further questions with regards to visas, please email us at kingstoniv@state.gov. Bill, we have a number of Americans planning to travel to Jamaica, as you mentioned, to visit family members or just to have a great time at an all-inclusive resort. Some of these American citizens have medical needs, and some of them are not planning ahead to have the medical supply or medicine that they would need. What do you recommend they do prior to travel?
So first and foremost, once again, I can't say it enough, do your research before you travel. If you look at the information we provide at travel.state.gov for Jamaica, you'll find an entire section describing the healthcare system and how things work here. It is a very different healthcare system than what our American citizens might be used to back home, one in which the private care system requires payment up front. And this can be something very surprising when you're coming into a private hospital with a relatively minor injury, and you're expected to pay upfront upon check-in upwards of $6,000 before you could even be admitted.
Wow.
When American citizens take medication that is essential for their health, we always recommend that they bring that medication in the original packaging with the prescription, and bring enough medication, not just for their expected duration of the trip, but give a couple extra days just in case your trip gets extended for any particular reason. So original packaging, and bring that prescription with you so you don't run into any difficulties moving in or out of the country.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. Bill, we also have a question from Norman Porter. Norman. He's interested in H-2B visas, and when will we resume in-person visas or interviews? Norman, we have already resumed those visa interviews in person, and we look forward to interviewing you as soon as you are eligible to have that appointment. Do know that we're still getting through a backlog, but we're working with great zeal to get through that backlog expeditiously as possible. Again, for questions with regards to non-immigrant visas, please email us at kingstoniv@state.gov. Bill, interesting, you mentioned the importance of planning ahead and doing your research. There are a number of dual nationals or American citizens that have children while in Jamaica. You know how they can get a passport for their child?
So when a child is born to an American citizen or American citizens in Jamaica, the first step is to sign up for the Consular Report of Birth Abroad. This is a U.S. government document which certifies that the American citizen is a citizen themselves by virtue of their parents' citizenship. The first place to go is the U.S. Embassy's website, jm.usembassy.gov, where you can find all the requirements of the documents that we'll need and what the process looks like to set up an appointment and come prepared for the date of your appointment. Once the consular report of birth abroad is approved, we typically process your passport application for your child at the same time to save you time and trips back and forth to the embassy. Typically, once approved, that passport's only going to take 2 to 3 weeks to get here, with the consular report of birth abroad usually arriving the same time.
Thank you, Bill. We also have a question from Kim Kelly, interested in the fiancé visa status after it's been issued and having provided the medical and other required documents. For the K visa and the interviews, allow up to 2 to 3 weeks for processing. If the medical exam was favorable, the visa will be recommended for approval. However, there are other issues, pending issues, and we would encourage you to interview us at KingstonIV@state.gov for more personalized information with regards to your case. Bill, it's exciting working and also challenging working here with American citizens that visit the island. Can you relay any particular best practice, aside from what you already have given us, that every pending U.S. citizen traveler should know?
Well, some of the best practices, and these are not just for travel here in Jamaica, but anywhere you go around the world, make sure friends and family know how to contact you. Where are you going to be staying? What sort of places you're going to be visiting? When you're expected to be back, and what flights you're going to be on. A lot of times when families call trying to locate their loved one, if all they know is that their loved one is in Jamaica, it makes it very hard for my colleagues and I to track down information that's useful to those loved ones back home. So making sure your friends and loved ones know where you are and what you're going to be doing is a great first start. Other good recommendations for travel are to make sure that you know how to dial the numbers in the local phone system. Many Americans bring their cell phones from back home on their trip, but they rely so much on that U.S. cell phone that if it breaks or if their service is interrupted, trying to use the local phone system, trying to figure out how to dial the embassy or how to dial the emergency services in the country isn't familiar to them. For all of our Jamaican listeners who have American citizen friends or relatives coming, make sure they know how to dial 119, the local emergency number equivalent to the US 911 system. That's a great kind of first step to make sure that you're going to have a successful and safe trip here.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill. That's coming from a Foreign Service officer with over 14 years of experience. It is in our best interest to adhere to those best practices. Thank you, Kim Kelly, for providing our email addresses. We have a co-host as well, KingstonNIV@state.gov and KingstonIV@state.gov for your visa-related questions. We also have a question from Stace Henry with regards to family-based interviews. Please, again, email us at KingstonIV@state.gov. We'll be happy to respond to you with regards to your visa-related questions. Bill, thanks again for sharing those best practices. I was thinking when you said ensuring that you know how to navigate the phone systems here. Many times you can lose your phone at an all-inclusive resort and not be familiar with the 876 area code. What if you have a police or you have a crime-related incident and you need to contact the police and you lost your phone? Any recommendations on how you can contact local authorities?
First and foremost, your hotel or any Jamaicans that you meet are almost always willing to go above and beyond to help Americans get the assistance they need, be it allowing them to use their phones. And we've had Jamaicans stop whatever they're doing to assist Americans in getting to a police station or a hospital or wherever they need to seek that assistance they're looking for. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask for help, but also keep in mind, and this is one thing that's been funny in the last few years. Know the telephone numbers of your loved ones back home. You'd be amazed at how many Americans run into trouble and their cell phone has gone into the ocean or is otherwise unavailable to them, and they don't know their mother's telephone number or their wife's telephone number for the very loved ones back home who might be the best ones able to get them assistance. So make sure, in addition to whatever is saved on your phone, make sure you have something either written down or memorized for the core numbers that are important to you back home.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Bill. And in addition to your phone possibly being lost, what about a passport? If it's lost or stolen, what could a U.S. citizen do here in Jamaica?
It's always a good idea to try to carry a copy of your passport in your carry-on luggage, or to have it stored safely and securely online. So in case that your actual passport is lost or stolen, you can easily recover the information that you're going to need to get a replacement passport. Whenever someone comes to us asking for a replacement passport, we typically ask for the previous passport number, the date that it was issued, and the name it was issued under. So having that information handy, either with a copy or with something saved online, is a great first step to save you time coming to the embassy for your emergency passport.
Thank you, Bill. Again, we have a number of questions coming from the audience. Ms. Renee Reti, she's interested in how Kingston IV could respond faster to her inquiries. Do know that we are working diligently to expedite our response times. We have no understatement to say thousands of inquiries, and we are working as hard as possible to respond to each inquirer as we work our backlog. Bill, thank you again for those best practices. Additionally, we have a number of parental disputes at times who a U.S. citizen would like to apply for a passport, but due to law, they would need dual parental consent. Can you speak to how they can be best postured for that interview for a minor for passport?
Yes. So any child under the age of 16, we are required to receive the permission from both parents of the child before issuing the passport. Typically, that's done by both parents coming to the embassy and signing the passport application for that minor child. But we understand that circumstances are different and varied for many families around the world. So if, for example, one of the parents is in another country, we can accept a signed and notarized statement of consent from that parent in that foreign country. In most countries around the world, that statement of consent can be notarized by a local notary, whereas in other countries, that parent will need to go to an embassy or consulate, a U.S. embassy or consulate, to sign, notarize that document there. Although that's a little bit of an extra step, at least we don't charge for that service. That's one of the few things that we'll do for free. And if there's any other circumstance, such as a legal custody order, or if sadly one of the parents has passed away, bringing the original document documenting that situation to the applicant's, the child applicant's passport application interview would be the best next step.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. And we're going to wrap it up with this final question from Renee Ritty. You put in the comments here that your mother's passport was kept at the interview for longer than expected. Do you know that you can always reach out to us if the passport is no longer needed for the interview? We will send that back to you as soon as possible. And that email address would be kingstonIV@state.gov. Bill, do you have any final words or takeaways for American citizens in Jamaica?
So first and foremost, thank you, Mario, for the time to join our great audience and answer so many wonderful questions. The biggest takeaway for American citizens when they're planning on travel anywhere around the world is to do your research by going to travel.state.gov and learning about the conditions of the country that you're traveling to and what special challenges you might face as a traveler. And to register that trip with the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, which you can find at travel.state.gov, to make sure that the State Department can get information to you in case of an emergency, or can assist in locating you in case friends or family back home need to contact you urgently. So thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Bill, for accepting the invitation. We really appreciate it. And again, Jamaica, is great to be with you all again. We hope to resume our Consular Live monthly, and we look forward to fielding your questions. Again, you can contact us at Kingston NIV for all of your non-immigrant visa-related questions, at KingstonNIV@state.gov for your immigrant visa-related questions, at KingstonIV@state.gov, and for your American citizens-related questions, at KingstonACS@state.gov. It's been great to be with you all again, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.